Hello and welcome to Creatrix Conversations. This is your weekly download of all things mindset, marketing, and magic. My name is Flora Ware, and I'm a spiritual life and business coach, moon circle priestess, and marketing and communications expert. So thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to share my personal story and the 5 lessons that I learned from my first 5-figure launch. And I'm here every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And I am passionate about sharing tools and techniques and tips to help spiritual entrepreneurs and executive leaders increase their impact and their income. And so I think this is a great topic for especially a lot of entrepreneurs that are putting out business offers and programs and want to see financial success. And so the goal of the 5-figure launch, or even the 6-figure launch, is a big goal for a lot of people when they are starting out. Just give me a moment. I want to share this out a little bit more. First, and I should say, first of all, this is not at all a how-to. I'm not sharing a how I did it and how you can too. I am not about that at all. Everyone's going to have a unique unique energy imprint, and I work with archetypes. And so this is, what works for me isn't going to work for you. So I just wanted to share that first of all. But I definitely learned a lot from my first 5-figure launch. And so this is what I want to share today. And I should also clarify that I have designed and or coordinated 27 launches over the last 6 years from my career in administration and now with my own business. So technically this was not my first 5-figure launch. Every marketing plan and launch strategy that I have designed and coordinated has been very successful, and some of those campaigns brought in tens of thousands of dollars. But this was my own individual first 5-figure launch in my own business. And so I wanted to clarify that. And at the end, I'll be speaking more about this, but I currently have 1 spot open for private business coaching in my 6-month activated and aligned mentorship program. So after hearing some of these things, if you are inspired to get on a call with me, totally no pressure, we can definitely do that, and I'll share more about that at the end. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? So the 5 lessons that I learned. So the number 1, the first lesson that I learned was that women don't like to be rushed. Women in general don't like to be rushed. And I had the longest enrollment period that I've ever done, which was 8 weeks. It was 6 weeks before the official beginning of my program, but then I still had the doors open for the first 2 weeks for any late enrollment. So it was definitely a more of a marathon for the 6 weeks, but there was really 8 weeks, which gave me a lot of time to inform my community and to inspire my community to join my mastermind. Oh, I hadn't even explained what this launch was for. It was for Goddess Dream School, which is my sacred business sister mind. And we started in March. So in the beginning of that enrollment period, I had early bird bonuses, which did inspire some early enrollments. But then over the next month, 6 weeks, there was, I was putting out a lot of content. I ran a free 5-day training and even an archetypal marketing workshop. There was a lot of points of connection, and different ways that people could feel into whether they were right for this sacred business sister mind. But I also personally enjoyed having that length of time, that space. So that was the first lesson that I learned, was that women don't like to be rushed, and that longer enrollment period I feel definitely contributed to the success of this launch. I wasn't trying to pack everything into only a 2-week promotional period, right? It was a good 8 weeks. Number 2, the second lesson that I learned was about pricing yourself right. So what does that mean? You know, pricing can be really tricky for new entrepreneurs, especially. There's a common way that we look outside of ourselves for that validation on our prices. We find other people that are doing similar work or offering similar programs, and then we either price ourselves exactly the same, or we price ourselves low because we think we're new, or we want to price ourselves higher. We use all these different barometers for our pricing. But really, pricing is so individual, and it has to do with what you feel is your exchange for your time and the value that you're offering. So this year is the 4th time that I've run my program. So I'm definitely well past the phase of testing and validating my idea and my product, right? So I'd moved through that phase, but the first 3 times that I ran the program, I was undercharging. I had definitely undervalued what the exchange was for the transformation. So this year, because I had extended the length of the program, I naturally raised the price. And I do feel now that I'm finally charging what the program is really worth, what the transformation that my clients are experiencing is worth. And also, just as a point of interest, I do have 2 different levels of the tuition. So you can get the group program, be in the sister mind, and then I do have a VIP level, which includes one-on-one coaching. And that also felt really good to me, having those 2 different levels. And I only had 4 spots open for the VIP level, whereas I knew that I had more capacity for group level. And I did sell out of those 4 spots. I had 4 women in the VIP level. So that also helped with my launch being a financial success. So that second lesson, you really do need to price yourself right. And it's about the exchange, how you really feel. How much time are you putting into what you're doing and what feels good? Don't price yourself based on what you think other people are willing to pay. Price yourself, according to what you feel really good about receiving. And a tip that I often will give to women, because we are notorious for undervaluing ourselves, is what price feels really good for you? Like, do you feel really comfortable with? And raise it 15% or raise it 10% even, because we are so often below. So what do you feel comfortable with? Add that 10 or 15%, and then that's a good starting price for you. So that was my second lesson. The third lesson that I learned from this launch is that it's so vitally important for us to be aware of our upper limits and our shadow sides. And what I mean by that is that when you are in a launch, it is an accelerated personal growth journey. And so you are going to come face to face with your fears, with your doubts, with all of your self-imposed limits. And that can be really scary. And so if you haven't done the inner work, if you haven't done your shadow work, if you don't know where those upper limits are for you, then in the middle of that big expansion, it would be very easy to get triggered, to shrink, to freak out, to, maybe call it quits, call it off. It is so important for us to know where we're going to be triggered and to consciously move through that when we're in a launch. So know your upper limits and know your shadow side. For me, when I work with archetypes, so I know my shadow archetypes, that I can mitigate those pitfalls, right? So that was definitely a lesson that I learned of how important it is, and also in witnessing other people when they're in their launches. It really does bring up a lot of stuff, when, that inner stuff. Okay, so the fourth lesson that I learned from my first 5-figure launch was that you've got to increase your self-care. And this was a lesson that I learned the hard way. Again, when you are expanding what you think is possible for yourself, this requires extra integration time. And as your success grows and increases, so does your self-care. This is really, really important. I did not include intentional self-care time in my launch plan. And as it was ironic, but not, that right after the program opened, right after my Goddess Dream School started, and we were in that late registration and things were going, first I got a cold. And then just as I was getting over the cold, I got a flare up of an old injury in my back. And then just when that was starting to feel better, then towards the end of the month, I sprained my wrist. So 3, and I know I've talked about this in another live stream about why bad things happen in 3s. It's to get our attention. We can't ignore something when it happens to us 3 times. And so now, since I learned that lesson, I will always now include intentional self-care time in my launch plans, like in the calendar of the marketing plan. What am I doing every week, couple times a week for my self-care? It is so, so important for our success because we're expanding and growing. And so everything needs to up level, right? Everything needs to up level. Okay. And the 5th lesson that I learned from my first 5-figure launch, and probably the self-care lesson, and this one was the most important lessons to me, was that 10K isn't actually a lot of money. And this was a big eye opener for me because I had this big goal. I had this big goal of, if I could only, achieve this as this dream of a 5-figure launch, and like, wow, that's so much money, and it would be amazing, and it would be so exciting. The thing is that and I'm so grateful and I'm so thrilled, I do not take it for granted, or any of my 9 beautiful women that are in my Sacred Business Mastermind, of course. But when I really looked at the big picture, I realized that, 10K isn't actually a lot of money. This is 6 months of work for me. 6 months of work for me. And it costs me money to run this program. I'm also sending them gifts, and I'm paying for programs to use, all of that. When I looked at it, 10K, it was a bit more than the 10K, but those 5 figures were a very decent exchange for my time and my energy, all of my teaching, all of my coaching, all of my mentoring, holding the energetic space in a really integral way for all of them. It's a lot, right? We're not, especially as coaches and healers and facilitators, we're not just exchanging our time for money, right? It's not an hourly rate. And that's part of that paradigm shift from employee to CEO, that it's the energy work that we are holding for our clients throughout the month, throughout the long term of our programs. And that has to have some value exchange as well. So that, and the other thing about the 10K not actually being a lot of money is that it's not like I received it all at once, right? A lot of my clients chose payment plans. So that 10K is actually being spread out from the end of January, early February, when some of my early birds came on, well into October of this year. So My next goal is now to have an actual 5-figure month where I receive over 10K in actual receiving the income in the same month. So that's my next big goal. And when I achieve that, I will come back on and share and share my lessons that I've learned from that, because I already realized that that's going to be another big up level. And so I'll have to have had the time to integrate all of these lessons for that to happen. So to quickly recap, the first lesson was women don't like to be rushed. The second was you got to price yourself right. The third was that you must be aware of your upper limits and your shadow sides in this process of a big launch. 4 was increasing your self-care. And it's how vitally connected that is to your sacred success. And the 5th lesson was that actually 10K isn't a lot of money, and it really, of course, does depend on what you're offering and your program. So I hope that there was something in here today that was valuable for you. If you are so inspired, hit share and share it with your friends. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I have 1 spot open this month, and I have 2 more spots opening up in July for my private business coaching, my 6-month activated and aligned mentorship. So if you are at all feeling drawn to check out what it would be like to work with me, I am more than a coach. I am a marketing consultant. I am a spiritual advisor. I offer copy editing services. You get a monthly business oracle reading with me. And so over the 6 months of working together, we focus on 6 different pillars. And that is self, because it all starts with you, understanding yourself, your unique soul blueprint. Then strategy, sales, systems, sustainability, and sacredness, because that is definitely what I'm all about, is bringing that sense of sacredness into your success, into your life and business. So send me a private message if you want to set up your free call. Totally no pressure. We can chat about what your goals are and if we are a good fit to work together. Thanks again for watching today's episode of Creatrix Conversations, and I will see you next Tuesday morning. Bye for now.